This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
Some secrets are kept in the basement, others in the morgue. Welcome to Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski, featuring defense attorney and host of the podcast, Defense Diaries, Bob Motta.
In this case, the case against Robert Tellis, what did you make of the evidence that's found in his garage? Have you ever seen this where somebody tries to dispose of evidence by cutting it up? I mean, it looks like he took like one of those paper choppers, to it that you used to have like in the office, and just chopped up part of a shoe. Yeah, the letter cutter thing. And did that, and then it's still there. Like, oh, you chop. It's not a credit card. What on earth is the thought process here on something like this?
Well, it would appear to me that at that point in time that he has the foresight to understand that there's cameras everywhere and that the likelihood is that he can't dispose of this in his garbage, okay, for fear that when they figure out it's him or they're on to him and they go and try to go to the dump and try to find his garbage, by matching up mail and saying, okay, well, this is clearly their garbage. And then they find that shit in there. And it's like, he realizes that he's got to dispose of it outside of the house. Right. So I think his approach was the Andy Dufresne, chipping the wall away, putting small pieces of it in his pocket, and then putting it down his leg of his pants when he was out in the yard type situation. Whereas he's trying to dispose of this piece by piece as he's going about his business on a daily basis. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. Like why destroy it other than to try to dispose of it gradually over time without him being caught on video at a gas station, putting a bag that has evidence of a crime in it, because people get nailed with that kind of evidence all the time, where they'll find them, so they're caught on camera somewhere disposing. Like, we see it all the time in crimes. So, like, for some reason, this guy seems to have thought of that, yet just completely shit the bed on every other aspect of this crime, including that, because he was taking so long by the time. Like, he had to realize that Jeff Gurman had gotten a piece of him during this knife fight, right? That, like, in defense of himself, that Gurman must have gotten a scratch in. Like, and I would not put it past Jeff Gurman, who was a ballsy dude. Like, I have a lot of respect for what he did as an investigative reporter. I mean, he went nose to nose with, like, straight up mobsters, Chicago mobsters. I actually went to school with two of the Spilatro kids. I don't know if they were Tony's, but he was going nose to nose with Tony Spilatro out in Vegas back when the Mafia was running the casino game out there. And this guy was fearless, man. So I would not put it past him that he, while in the midst of this guy killing him, was going to solve the crime by just digging his nails into this guy somewhere in order to leave the evidence that law enforcement would need to track to him. Yeah. Which is what happened, man. I mean, like, within 5 days, as soon as they rushed it through the lab, and I don't know under what circumstance they had Tellis's DNA in the database, but they got the match. Like, I don't know if that's something that, like, maybe that's a law now. If you're a public official, you have to submit your DNA and it's going to be in the database. Like, I don't know, but they were able to make the connection. As far as I know, they didn't have to use IgG. They got the lab rush job this. They got a profile put together and they ran it through and they got a ding on it, and it's Tellis. So that's when they go on the 5th and the whole thing happens with they're going to raid the house and he's, claiming that he's going to kill himself or whatever he's doing. And then they get him out and pull him on a stretcher. So the evidence is smoking gun evidence.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It seemed he got really paranoid at the end almost, where wasn't thinking ahead on anything else, but suddenly, oh shit, I gotta chop this stuff up. I mean, again, there's 1,000 ways you can dispose of this shit without really getting caught, but he chose, again, a very bizarre way of doing it all. With the smoking gun evidence, with the DNA underneath the fingernails, when that exists, I mean, is there any other way out of it? I mean, that just seems to be, you're pretty much fucked. There's not a lot of circumstances.
Man. Like, right. There's no transfer DNA argument to be made there. If it's skin cells under, I mean, like short of, finding biological material internally, as if, in a sexual assault type case where they do a vaginal swab and they find somebody's semen in there. Like, short of that, I don't know that there's better DNA evidence than finding somebody's skin cells under somebody's fingernails that is deceased. That's pretty powerful. There's not many workarounds. From because with trace DNA and transferred DNA, I mean, you can make the argument. We pick up other people's DNA all over the place. If it's just happens to be on your hand, or they find, a hair or something. I mean, like, things like that can transfer. Like, there could be explanations for that. For this, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's really just kind of I know there's no such thing as like an open and shut case, but this seems pretty damn close to it.
It's pretty open and shut too.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot to argue. It will be fascinating to watch them, though. That's.
I mean, look, dude. Like, the best part of that trial is going to be watching this guy trying to explain this whack theory, this whack frame up that he's got going on, which is essentially that he's claiming that there was an investigation going on into that office of bribery. They didn't really flesh out who's getting bribed and why law enforcement would give a shit to the extent that they're going to frame him up by somehow going out, buying that same straw hat, sombrero looking thing, buying the same cheap Marshalls Nikes, cutting them all up, bring him in the house, somehow getting his DNA and getting it under Gurman's fingernail. It's like, the concept of it is just insane, but I can't wait to hear him try to tell the story.
It'll be great. It'll be great. That's must-see TV right there.
All right, true crime addicts, let's cut the crap. You're knee-deep in the gory details of your favorite podcast when suddenly a commercial hits like a bad meal. Seriously? You deserve better. Upgrade to True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts, where you can binge without those annoying ads. Plus, get extended interviews that go deeper into the darkness and early access to episodes so you can be the first to know. It's like trading up from fast food to fine dining, but with more blood. So, go ahead. Search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and feast on the good stuff.